Good afternoon. This is Justice from Community Life Magazine. I want to welcome Dr.
Ruth White.
Dr. Ruth White.
White.
Okay,
White.
White.
Like the color.
Like the color. Okay, we're here today. We're going to get an interview with her and talk about some things she's doing in life. Her nonprofit, which is the
Gospel Music
Workshop. And then that way you can get to know who she is, and if you ever need to contact her later on, you can get that information too. So let's start off with your workshop. Is that where you want to start, your mission?
Yes, the mission of the workshop, the primary mission is to develop and promote gospel music.
Okay.
It started, well, I would say back in history. We've always been excited people about gospel and didn't really know that and calling it gospel, but we came from the slave mentality. So what we did, we gathered and we got into bunches back in the day, and as a people, and the things that we did ended up developing into gospel, the gospel music, sing, make up songs and what have you. So it actually got to going in our churches when we could get it kind of organized in churches. And this gospel music workshop developed because of one man who was a pastor. That was Reverend James Cleveland.
Oh, okay. So
And
Reverend James Cleveland started the entire workshop.
He was the founder of the Gospel Music Workshop of America. Now we have international chapters. Before I get into the chapters, Reverend Cleveland was the second person who had a convention. This is what we call this, a convention, Gospel Music Workshop Convention. That's where we do the training. And the first one was, I don't know if you've heard of Thomas Dorsey.
Okay.
Thomas Dorsey, he's considered the father of gospel music. Well, our leader, Reverend Cleveland, they dubbed him as the Crown Prince of gospel music. So what he did in Southern California, he was a singer also. So he wanted to organize this and have it as training for gospel, just like other jazz and what have you, the genres of music. He wanted to get gospel involved. And there are some of artists that's making good, doing real well as a life.
Now, James Cleveland, I'm sure I thought a long time ago, I thought I saw something on the Edward Hawkins Singers. Wasn't they around at the same time, Minnie Mouse Clark?
Sure, yes.
Okay, so that all of them was in the same workshop?
Well, at the beginning. Okay. Now the Hawkins have a convention.
Okay.
And, well, that's what happens too. Because your genres of music is a little different. I would say with the Hawkins, Going Up Yonder, that was the one I can remember from the Hawkins did. Well, those, it's just different genres of music. They do gospel and what have you also, but they have their own convention.
Okay, so everybody, let's make sure this is clear. Everyone, the different groups have a different name, or is it still under workshop?
It's a different name.
Okay, so it's a different name, different groups, such as the
Yes.
Hawkins now would have theirs. James
Right.
Cleveland, though he passed, the workshop is still carried on.
Right.
So who is the leader now? I mean, you're running Florida, correct? Or you're
Well,
running East Coast?
no, I'll explain that.
Okay.
I'll explain that. There's Bishop Jameson from Brooklyn, New York.
Is that the Church
He
of God in
is the
Christ?
chair. He's the chair. No,
No?
it is not a denomination. See, we all interdenominational.
Right.
So he just happened to be elected or
Okay.
appointed as the successor to Reverend Cleveland. And he's our chairman.
Okay.
We don't call them presidents of the
Okay.
organization. He's the chairman. So he's the high priest. He's the highest.
He's the highest.
Yes.
Okay.
And we are. He has his board of directors. That's under him.
Under him.
Then after that, we come in. I would say we because I am one of the chapter representatives. We have about I don't know how many chapters in, I would say, the United States. But then now we have Japan, we have
It's international.
Yes, it's international now. So, and they do gospel, trained by our convention.
Okay.
Like 2 years, they would go over one of the instructors, and I am an instructor also, but I'm not one of those kind of instructors that would have the time to go over and train anybody. But we do have those who are sent over like 2 years or 3 years or how long, and they train the foreign, I call them foreigners, I guess so, they're in other countries.
Another country.
And they sound just like we do. If you're not looking at them face to face.
Face to face.
They got the gospel. You got it.
They got it packed.
They got it.
And that would be unique to see. That's something I would love to get my hands on, to see how the different countries have one, become as
Yes,
one in
yes.
gospel and praise them at the same time, which would be very, very unique.
Yes.
The music may sound the same, but the praising and all that is the same, but
Right.
just to see the
Just to
different
see it.
cultures.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing I want to ask you, you've been in this position for how long, may I ask?
I was appointed, in fact, the state was appointed
Okay.
in 1991
Wow.
in Salt Lake City, Utah. That's when we became chapters
Okay.
in the Gospel Music Workshop of America, this state. Now, at present, we have 4 chapters. We have South Florida, Central Florida, where I am, and another outside of, which is central also, but it's pretty much, well, it's in Daytona,
Okay.
Daytona Beach, and then we have Tampa.
So let's get down to it then. Then a gospel workshop in the different areas, I'm sure, operates similar to the same way. Am I correct?
Sure.
What do you guys have coming up? And then what other programs are you setting forward, since you're running this section, on helping the youth
Okay.
as far as gospel?
Well, what just passed, I had a 3-day workshop, music workshop, and it was for the whole area here. It was at my church, Mount Zion on Washington, Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church on Washington Street. I brought in 2 national artists who did the workshop from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. One of them are co-teachers with me on a national basis, and we did that one for, it was last week. There are other chapters who have the same kinds of things going on. They have workshops, they have concerts, and what have you. Now, to really know and keep up, they can go to gmwanational.net
Okay.
and see everything that we are doing.
Now let me ask you this. I am going to go to that site. Explain the workshop itself. When it come out, is how many times a year, number one? And then explain what is going on in that workshop so my viewers will get a taste of what's going on.
Okay, this is what we do as an overall workshop, national workshop. We have a convention. First, we have a board meeting, and that's from the setting of all the officials and chapters and chapter reps and what have you. We now are set in Las Vegas, Nevada. That's where it is now. It hadn't been at the same place all the time. but now it is because we're kind of connected with the Stella Awards, and I don't know if you've
Okay.
heard of the
Yeah, I
Stella
know the Stella.
Awards. So that same week, when we finish, the Stellas begin. So those persons who are there, they just stay. They just
Okay.
stay for the whole week, because
Okay.
we have about 4 days and they have the rest of that
Of the
week.
week.
And so this is the board meeting, and it's in March every year. It's in March.
Is it here?
No,
Orlando?
that's the one I'm saying. The
Okay.
board meeting is in Las Vegas.
Okay,
That's where the board meeting is. It's
Okay.
stationed there
okay.
for now, until I guess they
Till
want to move it.
Okay.
Then our conventions move around. We were here one time. We were here on '07. In '07, we hosted out at Walt Disney World in '07. But last year, well, that's not last year. The last convention was in July this year, and we were in Birmingham, Alabama. That's where
Okay.
we were for a week. We go to classes, and that's a
Now,
division.
and that's what I'm gonna need you to break down. People
Okay.
gonna wanna know information, the classes, what's going on, and why
Okay.
should they get involved? And then also, phase 2,
Okay.
how can they get involved?
Okay,
Okay?
all right.
So this is about just getting that knowledge out there to them.
Okay, now we passed the board meeting. We've
Right.
had that in March, so we're going on to July. July is, every year, is when we have the convention, national convention. All of us, including the international people, we meet. And this time, we're meeting in Atlanta.
Okay. So is this for the public or just board members? Everybody.
But the only catch in that, they must be a part of a chapter.
Okay.
Either you are a regular member or you're an associate member. Your associate membership costs a little bit more because you don't have to meet with everybody. And you
Okay.
We had actually that regular is a choir. It's a local choir. That's
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have, it's a choir. That's what it is. And we sing, we learn new music. And we go from churches who invite us to come to sing and what have you. And we do accept whatever they would give us because of our fees, national. It's not a free chapter. The chapter has to be
So the
well
workshop
current in their
basically is
financial.
dedicated to bring the music and teach people what's going on inside the church. Is that what it's doing, or is it actually just basically about the music and not?
This is what it is. If I'm a minister of music at a
Okay.
church, or a singer in the choir, or a musician, or anything that is a ministry that has to do with music, also there's your nursing, your ushers, and your evangelists, your pastors, and all. It has all of that week, and classes for each one of them.
So you're teaching people how to do music, what
That's
they're
right.
supposed to do when they serving him.
Yes.
The nurses get taught, the ushers get taught, because I know by me belong to the Church of God in Christ, when the organ play and they do the ushers coming down there, a lot of them got everything together, and they really
Yeah.
go straight down.
It teaches you decorum,
Okay.
discipline, and
Okay.
what have you. And that's what I teach. That's the class I teach. But this is choir. Choir, decorum, discipline, and membership.
Now, when you talk about the quorum, okay, we want to break this down so
Okay.
that if people who, as I always say, who don't understand certain things, like I did the animal video about saving the giraffes,
Okay.
and I had the guy break down conservation.
Okay.
I want words broke down because
Okay.
we never know what age is going to be looking
That's
at
true.
this. We want to make sure that we get the most knowledge so people say, oh yes, I do want to get involved. I get it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because when sometimes we use words, sometimes everybody don't know exactly what the word means, and they may not pick up on it. So
I see.
I hate to sound like a fourth grader, But if my
I
daughter looks
see.
at this, she may want to know.
Right.
Okay, what does she mean by that?
Well, your decorum.
Okay.
You, and the setting of a choir. Sometimes you have a certain color. You have your robes sometimes. And maybe you have 3 uniforms. Well, you must obey the rules of what you're going to wear on that at that particular event. You come in and your shoes, and because your looks, how you look is
Okay.
very important too. You don't want to take anything away from your group setting when you're ministering, because people are looking at you. See, you're on display. And I don't know whether you do it in church, but if somebody would do something in the choir out of order, in fact, I have a bottle of water right here. Well, if I get thirsty, I'm not to get the water and while church is going on, and be at will to drink it. You understand? So decorum and discipline is pretty much hand in hand. Only your discipline comes when you have to obey rules.
Dress code.
Dress
all of
code,
that, the
your
way
actions.
Okay.
Yes. If you're asked to move, if the director asks you to move down a ways, and you're set with that seat, and you got your regular seat you want to sit in, well, you gotta use some discipline. You must move because your director can hear your vocals and knows exactly that you are clashing with something or somebody. So that's how and choir membership is just a member of the choir.
Okay.
So we have discipline. That means to do it right, obey your discipline, your decorum,
Okay.
and your membership. So if you don't have decorum and discipline, maybe you don't need to be a member of a choir in your church. I'm talking overall now. Maybe
Okay.
maybe something else you need to do. Because everybody has a leader, under a
Right.
leader. You see?
Okay.
So you need to, in order to keep things decent and in order, as it is written in the Word.
So shall it be done.
Yes.
So basically, they come to these workshops and they get to learn how they're supposed to act,
Yes.
what they're supposed to do, how you dress,
Yes.
how you make sure you're appropriate for everything that's going on. So now let's go to another one. After they come there, they then take it back to their local churches.
They come back, take it to the local churches, but do it in a way that you don't seem like
You
you've been
offended somebody.
somewhere and you learn and because some people will be offended if you, because they says, it's the way you say things.
Correct.
It's the way you do things also. And we do have some more divisions. That's just one. The academic department is just one division. Now, and I talk about it because I love it, because that's all I've ever been. Since I went to the first convention I went to was in Washington, D.C. And it was in the 60s. Yeah.
Okay.
My children, 2 of my children grew up in the convention, and both of them stayed in music through high school. My son, the baby son, received a scholarship at Morehouse in the Glee Club. So he sang 4 years as a lead in the Glee Club, from just being in the choirs, youth choir at church, and going to the conventions with Mama. And my daughter is, she was a director. We had a choir, youth choir, children. We had over 300 in Orlando. Some came from other places just to be a part. My daughter, as a teenager, was the director of that group. And one of the young men that's now living in Atlanta, he was the musician. But they both were accepted into the Florida Mass Choir. And I don't know if you heard of the Florida Mass Choir.
Are they still around? I haven't heard of them. But
well,
are they
the
around
Florida
now?
Mass Choir, the music is still being heard.
Okay.
But their founder, Arthur T. Jones, he passed.
Okay.
And they're not recording. He had a church, he developed a church in Tampa, so they do more of that church. They're keeping that church going on. They're not recording.
Okay. So they still have the name of Florida Mass Choir.
Oh yes, that music and the CDs and just the videos, everything is just still alive.
Wow.
And
Okay.
yes, and people can go online and get and hear that music also. And I'm proud to say also that I was one of the component directors in Orlando for the Florida Mass. What we did is we had components.
You was a director?
That's what I am.
No, I mean, director of the choir.
Sure, that's what I do.
Oh, okay.
That's what I do now.
I thought, when you said director, I was thinking the director of a program, not a
No,
director
I'm a
of the
choir
voices and all of
music
that.
director.
All right.
Music director. So I was the component of the Florida Mass here in this area. And every other city had a
mass choir.
component.
Okay.
Yeah, and when we got together, it made about 200 plus, and we record, and that's how those recordings came about. Yes.
Okay.
So.
So when I saw an album a long time ago, I think it was James Cleveland and the Mississippi Mass Choir.
Okay.
Was that part of the workshop?
Mississippi Mass Choir came in by way of,
Okay.
because Milton Bigham,
Okay.
I think he now still directs the Mississippi Mass Choir. He's from Tampa, Florida. He started with the Florida Mass Choir.
Hopefully
That's
we
who was
get a chance to
director
meet
of the
him.
Florida Mass Choir.
Okay.
Yeah. Last time I heard he was living in Jersey, so I'm not sure where he's located now, but he is still working with the Mississippi Mass Choir.
So what do you see? What do you see far as with this area that you're in, your region? What do you have coming up in the near future that people, if they want to get on board or come out or become a member of,
Okay.
you have another event coming up soon?
Well, I scheduled usually in November. There are churches who just now downplay hymns of the church. That was our foundation. Young people don't care too much for hymns, but what they do, they use hymns in their gospel music,
Right.
rearranging it, calling it contemporary gospel. I love it too. But I
do love
still
those
love the
hymns.
hymns
Thank
of the
you.
church. So what I usually have in November, I'm going to move it now to another month because of all this I was doing in October. Hymnology / hymn stories. That's what I have every year.
Oh, wow.
And it's to know how the respect that you should give
When you
the
say
hymns
so.
of the church, because the writer of the hymns has a story. And when you sing a hymn, if a hymn has 3 verses, you need to sing all 3 verses, and they need to follow each other in succession because it's a story. And sometimes it's a story of their life, and sometimes hardship, sometimes, just different things happen. And they sit and write to him. That's how it started, okay?
And that's what I think is excellent, because I used to tell people, with me, I want to get in to find out what the author or the director meant when they wrote the song, so that you understand the reason why they did it. I used to have a hymn book called Yes, Lord, from the Church of God in Christ.
I have that. I have
and I
every
need to
hymn book.
find that hymn book. I need to get
got
a copy of it. Minnie Mouse Clark did a lot of songs in there. And I used to love Yes, Lord. And then, of course, The Solid Rock.
Okay.
And all of those songs, to me, that
too.
had that meaning that you can get something out of. I had told somebody a long time ago I want to get a gospel big band, so that when we break a song down, you feel it. You know what the words is. You know what the essence of the song is. And not someone getting up, and it's just me. I can't do the, hey, everybody scream and all of that in church.
Yes.
Because I think there should be a separation
of that.
between church and world. That's my opinion. Okay, so I prefer, if you're going to say gospel, then let's sing gospel. If we're going to do the world, then go out and do the world. I also don't believe that I've had a minister tell me, well, we do this type to get the members in the church. Well, after you get them in the church, that means you almost lied to them to get them in, and they find out it's different, or each Sunday, or you're going to keep going down that road because you want to get more and more members.
There you go.
So let's do the separation. And that's real gospel. I like gospel where James Cleveland, Charles Foles Singers, all of these guys came together, and women came together, and when you hear their verses, they got and broke the song down. If you can't break a song down, then you're not catching up with me, because I want you to be able to go in the lyrics. I of course, you got great singers like Patti LaBelle and some of the other ones. When you hear them do gospel, they know how to go in the lyrics and get it. When you hear the Hawkins Singers, they know how to go in there. James Cleveland, he's had a lot of hits that I used to enjoy, what he's done for me, and some of the other ones, I Don't Feel No Ways Tired. Those songs meant something, but they're not history, like you say. It's not being told. So hopefully you invite me to this class where we can video and get the knowledge to the people, because you need to understand what you're singing and why you're singing. And I think that's some of the youth problem out here today, and some of the older people. We don't know why we're doing stuff, so we can't fix something if we don't know why. It makes it work. What is the issue? Why haven't we been able to draw in? Because some, and I've talked to some youth, they're expecting one thing when they go to church, but you're singing like the world once you get there.
That's true.
There has to be a defined line. Gospel.
That's true.
World.
I asked, I'm not on the staff now at my church. I guess you would call me a volunteer and hope I can get out of it person. But I'm always, during the year, over some type of event in our church, not my GMWA. I'll keep that. I'm obligated with that. But I'm not a staff member of music in my church. So what I do is I see a need, and I talk to the minister of music sometimes, and they accept what I say because they know that I travel and I go around, and I travel every year to do this. And I asked if I could take those little babies, can I come and teach them a song? And of course, sure. And I did that one night, and it actually came from a hymn, but it was the one that Timothy Wright.
Okay, Jesus, Jesus.
No,
that one.
It was a hymn. Blessed Assurance.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful.
And that makes those little babies love. See, that's a hymn. And you make sure you teach it to them and say, this is a hymn. And we're singing the verses, but we got it into another kind of genre, wherein you know, because they're not going to really be too motivated if we sing it the way that it's in hymn.
Well, to me,
in the hymn book, unless you do like I do. I tell them, I says, I know you like to you know, drag it and, you know, do it alone. I said, but I'm an upbeat person.
Right.
I'm an upbeat person. So I take it and I take the meter and I move the meter to an up, you know, an upbeat type of meter, and they love it. So what I have to do now, I have to get out of my seat a lot of times in the congregation and lead the hymn of the morning, because most people like the way that it's done, instead of, because a lot of adults don't care too much for singing hymns either if they are not lively. You need to have, everything need to be lively.
Need to be changed, but not changed where you bring the world in.
Right. Well,
you can still have the same gospel chords.
Yeah, you still got the same. You read it. See, a lot of folks don't read either. See, I'm a trained person also. From a little girl, I had private lessons and what have you. You see, yeah, I'm not just willy-nilly. I just I'm a learner. I'm still a learner, and I'll be a learner until the end. So I read music.
Okay.
Yeah, and I read my hymns, so I play it just like it is there, but I just pick up the tune
a little bit, yeah. And this is what I'm saying, the knowledge behind it. What you're about to do, I think, is going to be great, to put the history and the song together on why it was and why they sung it. And that's one of the movies that we are trying to shoot next year, called Slave. And then, of course, we got the Harriet Tubman. We're trying to do stuff that's going to bring the truth out. There's a lot that we don't know about our history. But when it comes to the regular history and then a gospel history, we need to do movies on why a song came about. Why did we come up with the creation of gospel? What happened to get us from here to here? And then not only that, I think if we do it in a way people will understand why that song. You know, I've been to a concert and it was a group that got up and they sung their little contemporary gospel. But when you put that lady that got up and she got into He's Sweet I Know, or Jesus Loves Me, and she got up there and went into the lyrics, it took the crowd to a next level. But then after he took them to a next level, the pastor came along and he was lukewarm and he killed the entire substance of the service. So we need to be able to go in those lyrics, I think, where you can take the organ. I used to play the lead guitar and the bass, and you get in there and you make the instrument say exactly what the meaning is. And then you get someone who knows how to go in the lyrics enough to make you feel what they're saying. And that's not being taught. Everybody is still talking about everybody wave and everybody do this. But what about that person who gets up there and say, this is the meaning of the song? This is why we're dedicating this song. And I think what you're doing or about to do is going to be really nice for the public, but we need to get more people coming out to learn. And we should set up a program, and I'm not in the gospel workshop, but we need to set up a program church by church where someone's going out teaching the history of the hymns and why it's so important that we validate them and keep them around. If not, when they're gone, they're going to be gone. And then people are going to make up their own words, but don't have no meaning behind it or anything else.
Well, you know, I'm glad to hear you say that, and I'm going to say something that maybe, well, it's okay, because I'm normally a person who says what I feel is true, okay? Now, this hymnology, hymn stories, I think this would have been this year that I'm moving. I'm still having it, maybe my 5th. Okay. It's annual. But it was in November.
It's annual.
Yes. But listen out for it, because the research in it too. See, the research has to be exact. Okay. Yes. On these writers. It's an exact thing. Okay. Well, we have a class nationally. Hymnology class / hymn stories. And I used to sell books there in the academic department before I went on and accepted a class. And so I have all the books, and that's why I said, you know, I think I'll teach this. And I started teaching it like 4 years ago. And that's why I have that class, hymn stories. And I use people from various churches also to come in, so that I won't just use my workshop people, because sometimes, like I said, they think it's just belong to us. It belongs to everybody.
And what I like to do with you is, if there's ever a chance, and we're hoping you're out there, give some lessons, and we're gonna put it in the magazine, so that you're doing different sessions. So by the
Right.
time, let's say, we start this year, within the next couple of months before you do the actually thing, people can get a build up.
Right.
Next year, they got another build up, and if they miss something, it's video. They can go back and say, I want to do the class, because there's 1,000,001 gospel songs out here, and you may cover 50 in this one, but next year you may want to cover another 50. So now they can start, this, and it's not knowledge that gone out the window.
Right.
Because a lot of times in classes, I think people hear maybe 25% of the class. They hear 25 of you doing a presentation, they got it, but when you go back and look at it again, it does another impact. It's almost like looking at a movie. You look at the movie the first time, you got the main idea.
Now, you know, a lot of people may not know it. A lot of our hymns did not come from African Americans. They didn't come from us. They came from Europeans. We gospelized them.
Okay.
Because when
Without
we sing
text.
them, that's it. It's automatically
From the
a
heart.
tone, yes, and heart, and soul, and what have you. We keep it in the genre, but the way we sing it, same hymn.
Yes, and you know what? It's here. When we
Yes.
sing it, we feel it here, and we putting it
Right,
out there.
right. Now, you said churches involved. Well, this is why I said that I'm going to say what I have to say.
Okay.
I have touched every church in the area, Central Florida area,
Okay.
within those years that I've been. And I'm not sure why they don't push learning or push something that is going to come to them free of charge. I mean, all you have to do is send a representative, even if, you know, all of the staff can't be there. But I sit and I look, and when I visit churches and they're singing a hymn, and it's an instinct, it's just an instinct. I don't want to look at people when they're singing, but over half of the people don't know the hymns. And even if they reach for a hymnal, they still cannot go through the hymn because it's foreign to them, it seems. Even in choirs, I've seen it. I sometimes sit in my own church and I can pick out the person who has, who did not come to my seminar. That's what I call it, a seminar. And you know, I'm not sure why they don't send them, because it's needed. It's needed. Even a hymn will bring you out, like they say, a funk. It will bring you out of something that other beat stuff won't do. It just won't do it.
Well, it's not. I think there's a dividance there.
Okay.
Sometimes and this is just, I'm just going to talk truthfully. Sometimes I think you have pastors in these churches that if it don't go through them, it doesn't get done. And I call it dictatorship, but there's a lot going on. And if you come there and say, look, I want to help the people do this, or I want to give them this. You know what? I have a nonprofit, and I've been to churches, and you know what? If we come there and free and say, let me do this to help you, guess what? What is it in for me? That's what the first thing come out their mouth. Okay, so I understand you're going to bring your nonprofit in here that fights for small businesses. You're going to do this, you're going to do that. What am I getting? What do you mean, what am I getting? I'm here to help the people.
Right.
And if they can't be the star, that's
Yeah,
where the dilemma is.
that's
They don't
true.
want it there. So
Yeah.
you could call everybody in all these churches. The fact is, if it doesn't go through the pastor, and there should be a meeting, just like we're going to have a political forum, pastor's forum or Christian forum. We got to start, we all say we're praising the same God.
Right.
But yet, we got all of this division where
Yes,
you
it
can't
is.
help them. So if you're not going in there with $2,000 or $3,000 or some
That's
money
true.
to give his pockets, he
Right.
doesn't push the program
Right.
because there's nothing in there for him.
I've touched an organization here of pastors. That's all in it. Just to push and read, take it and read it and give it to your ministers of music so that they know that they're invited to come. And I was told by one or two pastors that it was not even presented in the meeting. So that's one of the breakdowns right there. If
Well,
you don't want, if it's not your thing, I'm not getting anything out of it because it's free of charge. So I mean, you don't have
And
to
you
pay
know
for
what?
it.
You know what I've been blessed to do? We deal with fact checking. So I think in order for us to help you, since we
Okay.
own newspapers,
All right.
when there's somebody you've been to,
Okay.
let me go in there and ask the pastor and put it on paper.
Praise
Because I think what we have to do is let people enlighten. The magazine is dedicated to enlightening people.
Yeah.
So why not enlighten them?
That's
Why
true.
not take the opportunity that when you do go somewhere and speak, let's line up your speakers and we go there and find out, okay, what is the problem with getting help?
Right.
What is the problem with passing the knowledge? Or is it just dictatorship? If it is,
True.
just come out and say, look, you know
Right.
what? I don't want her here because I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid of that.
Well,
Just say.
well, what I did is, several years, 10 years ago, I think, it may not have been that long, I honored pastors of the church, just to let them come in and see. And I gave them a booklet. I gave them, it was something else. I presented them, but they were there to learn about what I was doing and what my organization was doing for the churches, your church. And they, I guess about 20 of them out of the 35 did come. May have been more than that. They came. They enjoyed themselves. They got the everything that I had presented to them, every one of them, and they were on display, and they were the highlight of everything, and they were given all the information that we did, that we that we do, and all of. When I knew anything, I'd still back square one with them, because they don't want their musicians and their choirs coming into somewhere else giving service. And just like you said about dictatorship, they are going to really obey their pastor.
Right, and we
They'll
have
to, because some of them, that's the only job they have. Some of them didn't go to school. I tried, and I always say that. I tried to teach them, go to school, learn something, be independent. And of course, you know how children are. And I see some of them right now. The only thing they do is the church music, and churches really not go. They don't really pay those people what enough to pay maybe a car note, because some of them not even right. Some still, but this is to make them even more independent on, and they'll do more. They'll do more in your church if you kind of like respect them more so than having to do all the respect to you.
Well, then again, you have, let's say you're talking to me. I know a pastor at a church. I tell you I'm going to get you in contact with him.
Yeah.
I don't move on it because I really don't want you getting ahead of me.
Okay.
It's in the churches like that.
Yes.
I've had people, I say, tell your pastor to call me. Haven't heard from him. Tell your pastor. They're so afraid that I'm going to get in there and do what they're not doing,
right.
that is jealousy in this thing.
It is. It is. I told them now. I said, as long as I've been here in Orlando, as long as most of them know me anyhow, because I've helped them too. I've helped them when they were trying to move up. Now they're up, so then
There's no need.
No need for me. But I let them know I am in my space. I'm a music minister. That's mine. I don't get in your space. You don't have to worry about me. I am not a preacher.
Okay.
If I preach, it's through singing. So you don't have to worry about me starting a church. And that's where the fear is too. The fear is because somebody who wasn't making enough money, I guess, and I've never been hungry. Because I saw to that, my parents saw to that. I'm the only child, but anyhow, if it wasn't, they saw to that I was educated, yeah, and so I could at least go to the grocery store, you know, without being scared to bounce. But anyway, I don't, and those young folk need to be paid at least enough. They need to even survey their ministers of music and their musicians and give them a raise sometimes. Do that. Give them a raise sometimes, because you're going to dictate to them what you want to say. I know pastors who tell them, I don't like that. I'm tired of the songs you sing. I saw it on the internet. I saw it on Facebook. In fact, the pastor was saying that don't sing those 2 songs anymore. I'm tired of them. You sing them all the time. You hired that. You hired him. You hired that child. Okay. Now you knew his ability, but he came cheap. So when he came cheap, you hired him, and now he's not satisfied yet.
Right, because he's playing the same thing over and over.
Right.
But then you don't want him to get no help.
He can't do any better because you're not letting him get any help. You're right.
Well, anyway, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get another interview from her later on at another time. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes, excuse me, to let people know how they can reach you and what they need to do in a closing statement.
Okay. Well, I can be reached, well, I tell you what, if you go on, so you'll know it's authentic, go to gmwanational.net. Just go to and click the Florida chapters. Then you'll go down and you'll see Orlando. Well, this is Orlando, and I'm the chapter representative of Orlando, and you'll see all of my contact. Now, just if you don't have a computer or you don't want to go on that, what you can do is to go to the telephone. Everybody has a telephone. And I'm going to give you my telephone number because I don't never hide my number from anybody. 321-746-1966. Again, 321-746-1966. That's my contact. I keep that with me at all times. And you can call we rehearse. We meet every second Saturdays of the month. Every second Saturday of the month at Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Institutional Church, 535 West Washington Street in Orlando, 32801. And we meet from 2 to 4 every second Saturday of the month, and been doing that for the last 20 years. Never moved a time. So please, I would love for you to come be a part of it. Just come, and if you are not really decided yet, just come and, like my pastor says, smoke us over. And if you decide, then we'll be so happy to have you. And thank you so much for this interview. I appreciate talking with all of you on the second Saturday of the month. That will be November 12th, this month. I'm sure of that. If not, look at your calendar, the second Saturday of November.